We are very pleased to have Judy Barrett with us remotely on the phone. And since we also have one member who's remote, we will do all the votes and by roll call.
Yeah.
So I'll first do a roll call for attendance. I want to read the names of the people who are here. Is that allowable, I think?
Yeah.
No, I don't have to read all the names of.
No,
No.
just the people here, it's fine.
So, Carrie?
Here.
Andrew?
Here.
Janet?
Here.
Jen?
Here.
Donnell?
Here.
Katie?
Here.
And myself, Philip, here. So we have 7 members attending for a quorum of 7. And we also want to thank Patrick for attending, and we also want to thank Lauren for attending and helping out. So, and for having Judy here. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to go through the draft of the master plan that Judy sent out. There's a couple of things we need to do specifically about that. One is we did not vote on Goal 9. So we will do that. We'll do that first tonight. And then Section 1 and Section 3 are very short. The longest section is Section 2, and we'll do that last. And we may be looking to get more comments by email on that one, because I don't know if everybody had a chance to look through it, but we would be open to that. We may meet again on April 24th if we need to, and that would wrap things up. And then Section 4 is the most important, because that is all of the votes that we did on all the sections. And we're not looking to open up every vote, but we just want to give everybody a chance. Is there any major thing that you saw that you want to change? We've done a lot of discussions, been a lot of meetings, a lot of votes, so we're not anticipating that there's going to be a lot of questions, but want to give you that opportunity. So I think we'll start with, Judy, do you want to say anything before we start?
No, Phil, I think you should just go ahead and I'll jump in if necessary or answer a question if you need me to.
Okay, yeah, and I think that particularly will be for Section 4. There may be some questions that people had that you could answer, we can see. So I suggest we start with Section 9, or Go 9 in Section 4. And so you did receive the plan from Judy. And also Patrick and I had worked on a cross-reference with all of the different votes that occurred between the meetings of September 7th and July 25th. I'm sorry, October 25th. And also showed the different changes made. And we also added a column that gives the number from the September 7th document. I know there's been often a lot of questions, how do things relate back to what we did before? So that is the cross-reference that you can use to go back to some of the original versions that will show you where things came from. And note that if there's any discrepancies with what's here and what's in Judy's copy, it would be Judy's copy is what we're going with. That would be our mistake maybe in doing the mapping and listening to going through some of the meetings. So, excuse me.
Phil, is that the one you just sent out late
It's
today?
the one I just sent out. Sorry about that. Yes, it took a little while.
You don't have any copies in paper, right?
I only have one that I brought with me.
That's fine.
So,
Just checking. I haven't had a chance to review it, and that's why I
yeah.
asked.
And again, it's mostly for a reference. I know there've been a lot of questions about the redlining and everything. So this allows you to kind of see where, how some of the changes were made over time.
I was gonna say, Phil, so why don't we just go into goal number 9 first?
Yeah,
and
so
start to go over
so we're gonna do that first. So, this will really be Jen's section. And this was covered in, several times, but we didn't do votes. So, and I'll ask Jen then to introduce the section, and why don't we go through it? And there may not be a lot of questions as much as just kind of framing where you are and what you think of it, so.
Okay, I think, well, people know I had some objections because I feel like it doesn't actually take into the realities of what Walpole currently has. And not a lot of changes have been made to address that, but I've decided that in terms of, I'm gonna look at it as aspirational goals. And if we were in an ideal world where we had a vast amount of time and more volunteers and more money, we could maybe accomplish a lot of these things, but I think we can focus on a couple. But I think at this point, there's not gonna be a lot of changes that are made to it, so I'd rather just proceed with saying these are good aspirational goals for us to have.
Okay, and we've covered this actually the last two meetings, so what I would suggest is unless somebody has a particular question on one of the action items, I would just entertain a motion to approve it as it is, but if somebody does have a question on one of the specific ones, we can take that up.
Yeah. I think
So
that's
if people are
sufficient.
good with that,
Yeah.
I'll look for a motion then to accept the
I'll make
action
motion to-
items
yeah, I'll
yeah.
make the motion to accept the action items in policy, in goal 9, policy 9A through 9, D as in dog.
I'll second.
Thank you, Carrie. Now you need to do a roll call vote, so if you could answer yay, nay, or abstain. So Carrie,
Yes.
and let me just do one thing here. Andrew,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Donnell,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So it's 7-0-0. And again, I want to thank everybody who worked really hard on, as we've reviewed this several times. And I think, the feedback that you had, Jen, is good maybe to give back to, to Judy and also for the going forward on the implementation of this. So now I was going to suggest, maybe we should just go through all of section 4, since Judy's with us. If there are any lingering questions,
Yeah. I was gonna say too, I mean, I know we discussed just going section by section. I think
We
maybe
could-
for start off, if there's any
we could do
general
one if you
comments,
want.
and then go each section, if anyone wants to address anything that stands out.
yeah, of this,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess initially, just general comments.
yeah, we don't want to go through, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
If we have comments on the text of like section 2, should we say, like, are we not doing that? When we look at 4,
We'll
should we
do,
also?
we'll do section by section, like Patrick
we still
said.
do that.
I'll
Yeah,
just
so
say
it's
that
goal
before
by
it goes
goal.
out to the public, there are typos and
Yep.
that needs to be proofread before it goes out to the public.
Okay.
And we're talking about section or go now? I want to make sure we're clear.
I haven't gone through the implementation plan, but both, but I was reading through the text, there's typos throughout.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would suggest on typos, unless it changes the substance of the article or the item,
Well, I would
you
just
should
hope that
mention them.
Judy's team would review it before it goes out to the public and
Oh.
make sure that all minor errors, I'm not changing, I think that, somebody has to go through the fine.
Yeah, so we should mention them.
I think that's a good idea. I'm just saying that's why we're here, so.
Yeah.
I think typos.
Yeah. It's always appreciated when people catch something that we didn't, if it's an error. So obviously, we would intend to proofread it, but if you've proofread it and you've identified errors, we'd like to know what they are.
So I was going to start with section 4, going through the goals, if that's good.
Sure.
So, goal 1, does anybody have any questions about any of the action items in goal 1? Goal 1 being the economic development.
I do not. If I may, I went through that, I was on the Economic Development Subcommittee there, and I think it captured everything that we talked about and everything the corrections that we made. There are a couple typos in it, like you said, but I think that generally the wording and everything in that, the striking and the additions and stuff is working, I guess, and I'm happy with it. I think it came out well.
So as far as typos, do we just want to do that by email, or do you want to hear them now, Judy?
If people can just email
Are
me
you good with
typos
that?
they found, it would be so appreciated.
That'd be better with us, too.
I think that'd be more efficient. as
Efficient,
well.
yeah.
Quite frankly, there are many. It would be very time consuming.
Yeah, no, I wasn't looking to do that, but I
So
just want to
I
make
think
sure.
They should just plan to review it all
Yeah,
page by page.
Yeah.
because There's a lot.
So does anyone have anything else for goal 1? Then what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do we'll do one vote for all of the goals, and we'll just hold back if anybody has a particular,
Well, we've already voted on the goals, Phil.
that's true, we don't need to vote on them.
Right.
Yeah, so we just go through them. Okay. Go 2, which is the, open space. And I would look to, just find my,
So I know Mike isn't here today, I think he.
Yeah, so
said
he
he'd
was
reach
open
out with
space,
comments. So,
yeah.
I think any comments received after the fact too, I guess maybe, I don't know, Phil, if you think maybe just kind of having, put out to everyone here and then the rest of the committee, hey, for the next month or so, maybe, or maybe a few
I
weeks,
think
any
that would be
additional
good,
comments not
give
covered?
people more of a chance to look over.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly for typos and things as well, just to,
Pat, did you say that Mike did reach out with comments on this?
He said he would
section?
get, I think he said he would get comments to me, as well as Ashley said too, but I didn't get comments yet. So he just said he couldn't make it today, and he would try to get comments over.
Okay, just because Mike and I were the subcommittee for this area, I didn't see anything that needed to be pointed out or corrected, but, you know, I'd be curious if Mike has comments to know what they are. And I also want to say thank you to you and Philip for the work you did to point out all of the changes and when they were made. That I'm sure represents a huge amount of work for the two of you, and it was much appreciated. It helped make reviewing easier.
yeah, it's something we owed you for a while, so. And just looking for one thing real quick here. So why don't we do, so go 2, which is the open space and recreation, and that was Mike McGrath and Carrie was, so I would always look to the group that was actually specializing on it, so.
Yeah. No,
Any comments or anything? Goal 3, which is the natural resources. And that was, Jen, were you?
Yeah, I think it was really Dean was gonna look at it, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
Dean,
Yeah.
yeah. So keep going.
So some of the text is bolded, I forget, like, I gotta be honest with you, but it's been so long since we talked about
Yeah.
this. Why was some of it bolded and some of it not? Like in 3A, the last one in 3A, and then also in 3C, the last one, just has some sections that are like, the text seems, maybe it's my printer, but it seems to be in bold.
Same for here. Judy,
I'm trying to look now, which
Yeah.
section?
I think it would be goal,
3A and
3A.
3C.
Yeah, the last row in each.
Some of
In
those,
the implementation plan, is that what you mean?
correct.
Correct.
Trying to get there. So it's not looking bold on my end, so
Okay.
I'll have to just check and see if there's something happening with the font.
It is on mine.
Yeah, it's fine, I'm just not seeing it, so I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
yeah, and some of it might have been because when we were making comments on our copies and sent them to you, something might have been voted because it had changed.
Yeah, but I don't know if
Shouldn't-
it's a more of a formatting
Okay.
thing, and
Yeah,
maybe
it
for
may
whatever
be.
reason,
Yeah.
ours is bolded.
Yeah, I'll check the font settings app, don't worry about it.
Yep.
So then goal 5, because goal 4, which was land, is incorporated within the other goals, and that was the climate change. And climate change was myself and Meg. And then goal 6, which is housing.
Phil, can we go back to goal 4 for a second?
Yeah, so Yeah,
I think it might be helpful just to have a page in the implementation section that talks about how we've distributed the goal for action items, because otherwise it looks like it's missing. Just to
Yeah.
acknowledge that here, so nobody's searching for it or thinks
that's a good
it's.
suggestion. And I thought I saw it in one of the places, but maybe not. So did you hear that?
Yes, I did. Phil, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion. And goal 6 was the housing, and housing
That was fine. That looked good.
And Andrew, you were part, yep.
Yeah, myself. I thought it looked good.
And goal 7, which was the transportation. And transportation was
I think that was
John and Glenn.
So,
Yeah, so they're here tonight. But John has been in most of the meetings, so he has made a lot of comments during the course of the review. And then 8 is municipal facilities and services. And 8 was, that was also John and Glenn. And then 9 we just did, and then 10 was health. And health was
Health was Mike and I,
you,
Yeah.
Carrie, right? Yeah.
and they look. Oh, the only thing, let me double check here.
I don't know if it's my,
Strengthen public education. Board of Health.
I don't know if it's my version, but under 10A, I have urban with a line, a strike through, the word.
Oh, didn't John want that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That was from the change when you made that change.
Yeah, but I
Gotcha.
have the draft and it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
a strike
yeah.
through. So I guess that's meant to be removed,
Yeah,
Judy?
What page are you on, please?
That is page 145.
Getting there.
Yep.
under 10B, the last one, under 10B. We had this discussion, I raised this at, I think, one of the meetings way back, but just at the end of that, strengthen public education, public awareness of Walpole's increasing population diversity and promote cultural competence. I'd still love to see, promote cultural competence among whom? Among residents, among town employees? Whose competence are we trying to promote here? Because the responsibility says it falls on Board of Health, the schools, and the Council on Aging, which is an interesting mix. And then for resources, it says town staff. So it's fuzzy to me. I don't think we have to go completely back to the drawing board, but I just wanted to point that out. I still don't have a.
that was your comment, to ask him to
Yeah.
clarify that.
If I may, I have notes on that saying staff and community as well. So I don't know if it was just mainly directed at the staff or at the community at large as well.
Right, I think it's really hazy, and I don't know if we have a strong opinion about if it should be one of those or both of those. But I just like it to be clear. Did you have
They're both of what, just so I understand what the question is. One or of what?
under 10B, the third thing where it says promoting cultural competence, we're not
Yes.
sure who that's directed toward. Is it toward promoting cultural competence among town employees, among residents, among whom?
Well, it would be, typically you wouldn't single anybody out in a goal like that or an action like that. It's really building the community's capacity for cultural competence. So it's kind of across the board, but somebody has to lead that effort.
Okay.
So
Could-
should it say throughout the community?
Yeah, sure, that would be fine. Our experience is that schools and health departments and COAs tend to be, and often public libraries too, really tend to be ahead of the curve on this, which is why they're listed as responsibility.
Okay, that's fine. I think we're just looking for that clarification in the bullet point. So if we added, promote cultural competence across, what'd you say, Donnell, across?
Across the
Community?
entire community?
Yeah.
thank you all. So now, what I was going to suggest, why don't we just go to the beginning? I just want to make sure if there were a lot of discussion and anything, I want to make sure we had Judy and the time. So why don't we just go very quickly? I just had, I'll just mention some very quickly in the very beginning, go back to page, the list of members of the master plan committee. We need to add Meg, who was on who was a member of the committee up to, I think it was March 31st, 2021. So we just need to ask her, add her.
Yeah.
Just to recognize her. So does anyone have anything else in the beginning pages? So we'll just go through this. In section 2,
Just in section 1, just like, again, there's inconsistent formatting throughout, so like, if you just look in like 2, like there needs to be an extra paragraph between the ... preserves its small town feeling, and then the next one is ... protects. Then the paragraph that goes up to the second column, there needs to be a return and 3 dots, so it's like inconsistent formatting. And then on the page 3, mine came out, like 1 came out really, the font is much smaller on that page than.
Oh, yeah.
2 and 3 are confusing.
So Judy, I don't know if you have that on your end, but yeah, so
Yeah,
page,
no, I don't. I think what I probably need to do is embed these fonts because I think some of what you're seeing, I'm not. And it may just be because I didn't embed them,
okay.
which is easy to do, so I can do that.
If I may, my only substantive edit, I felt awkward kind of diving right into the chapter by chapter, because, we can all have general comments or reflection. So I should start with thank you. Thank you to Philip and Katie and to the whole committee and to the Barrett Planning Group. But just to dive in, if we're doing section 2, my one substantive edit is on page 10 of the PDF, which is page 7 of the, on the bottom right-hand corner, if you see page 7, it's page 10 of the PDF in section 2.1 on economic development. Just before the break where it says getting to work, it says Walpole commuters, a more detailed visualization, blah, 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 of Walpole workers' commute from can be found in section 7. And I think maybe that wasn't labeled in the table of contents, or maybe I missed it at the end. It may be there, but just want to flag that as a kind of close the loop. If there is a more expansive visualization, I may have missed that, but just wanted to kind of have a question about that. Is there a section 7, and does that visualization exist?
Sorry, where are you?
So this is page 10 of the PDF, or page 7 of the report in section 2.1 under economic development. You're going to see the page that has a chart, figure 2.1.1, people working in city/town of residence. It has a table below it. You see the paragraph that says getting to work.
Okay.
Just above it, it references a more detailed visualization in section 7. I couldn't find that visualization or a section 7. I wanted to thank, I thought this section was strong. Like, there's a few typos I'll send you an email about. That's minor. That happens in every report, especially 183 pages. My gosh, you're gonna get some typos. So I like section 2.1 overall. Me and Danelle served on the Economic Development Subcommittee. I just want to close the loop on that one little question.
Is that supposed to be section 2.7?
Yeah, it would be 2.7.
I see. Got it. Section
Yes,
2.7.
sorry about that. Yeah, I
No,
see.
all good. Look, typos are going to happen with the document this long. That's what we're
It's
here for.
actually not, it's not so much a typo. What happened is that when we did the working papers, they were individually numbered. And when we were putting the report together, and I decided to keep all the existing conditions together and break issues out separately, I had to make chapter 2 the inventory. And so I just didn't change the numbering to 2.7.
All good?
But it's 7, do you know what I mean? It was originally section 7. It's just 2.7 now.
Okay.
So I can fix that. I appreciate you catching that.
No, all good, Judy. And again, thank you. I really think how you summarized in particular, I just want to give you a compliment, because I think there's not enough positivity on this committee sometimes, and maybe I'm guilty of that, because we're very critical. We should be, as a bunch. This is a document that's going to stand the test of time. But to be positive, there's one section where you really talk about how, while the tax base matters, it is also important to understand what the tax base is not. Not every employer pays property taxes, so the tax base is not a good indicator of the size or health of the local economy. For example, app-based rideshare delivery workers and self-employed people with home-based businesses do not pay commercial property taxes. Yet these jobs and their wages play an important role, an important part in Walpole's local economy. So that whole section about gig work, really good. So really important when we get to the action items in section 4, when we talk about, say, for example, rewriting the zoning bylaw for the home occupations section.
Right.
That's a huge thing, right? Because of COVID and work from home, our zoning bylaw, when it comes to home-based occupations, is in need of an update. And so, again, kudos for pointing that out.
Yeah, any other observations or changes?
I kind of have a general comment, Judy. For the maps, is it a way to kind of resize those so that when you do scroll down to them on the digital version of the plan, it can be a full-size image rather than the turned 11 by 17?
So,
Great point.
not in the book, because the book is landscape oriented.
Yep.
So, but I mean, we can certainly give you the maps if you want them separate, like as separate PDFs, so that you can have them portrait, that's fine.
All right, I guess if the maps come as a separate PDF, I think that could,
So the maps are all separate PDFs that are inserted into InDesign.
okay,
And the maps in native form are portrait. They're turned to
yeah,
be able to fit into the landscape layout of the report.
yeah,
But
of
if
course.
you want the original, if you want the native portrait maps, you're certainly welcome to them.
All right, because I noticed, like, I don't know, just offhand, on page 32, the map of the topography, it looks like it might have been done at a greater scale and then reduced to fit.
That's what I was trying to tell you earlier.
Yeah,
There are two maps that were done as 11 by 17s, and Sarah just needs to reformat them to a
Okay.
better size layout.
oh, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love my maps. I gotta,
Yeah, well, we do, right? That's what we're trained to do. So you're right, you're right.
oh, yeah.
Could I jump in with one more thing?
Yeah.
I just realized, Judy, just while I have you here, this is important enough. It's kind of a typo. I would consider just emailing it to you, but it's worth really mentioning because I don't want anybody to get upset. There's a section on page 12 of the PDF. So if you go to page 12 of the PDF, where you mention South Walpole, as the main corridor of economic traffic. Let me make sure I just get this right here. I may have gotten the page number 1 off, and I just want to make sure because we refer. Okay, you know what it is? I apologize. It's page 15 of the PDF, page 12 of the document. So look at page 12 on the bottom, page 15 on the PDF. You have where it says snapshot of local employers. That section, that second paragraph, Judy, you say South Walpole's reputation for being the town's economic engine is supported by labor market information, 18 of Walpole's. And so I just, I would recommend just saying downtown Walpole or, because we had talked about this before with like South Walpole and the Main Street, because the Main Street Route 1A, that this is more, I would say downtown Walpole would be a better edit to start that section.
That's fine. That's fine. Agreed.
Again, it sounds like a minor typo, but I don't want people to read this and be like, that's not, Main Street is, they don't, yes, of course, it goes through South Walpole, but like, that's more of a downtown Walpole geography.
Sure.
Yeah,
Nope.
you're right, people don't look at.
Yeah, they
South
don't look at
Walpole.
that
Yeah,
and think, oh, this is South Walpole, Raven's Nest. Yeah, it's just not.
Yep. Understood. Thank you.
And one other thing under that, under snapshot of local employers, they never mentioned Siemens, which is a huge employer.
So it's a weird thing. So I know where Judy's getting the information from, and it's through the state. And I don't know, Judy. I think you have similar viewpoints on it. I hate it. I just it's the information that we have available to use from, and it's so the Siemens information. Like when we do stuff from the town for the annual report, I usually can get that from the TIF information. So
Yeah.
they'll have the right number for the actual number of employees. And so, I mean, that information I can probably provide you, Judy. I don't know, I thought,
You have it,
We do.
please give it to me, because you're right, there are things that are not in that data set.
okay, yeah. So I guess that maybe to include that, even though if it's not really,
It's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a definitional thing. I know exactly what, because Danelle and I, we talked about this when our subcommittee met. What happens is they look at employers based in Walpole who have the highest number of employees, whether or not those employees work in Walpole. And Hollingsworth and Vos is what they mention, and that's
As
what this
being the
master.
big one,
As
yeah.
being the biggest one. But actually, the highest number of people who employ people in Walpole is not Hollingsworth and Vos, it's Siemens. And so it's kind of a definitional thing. Does that make sense?
No, it's
Siemens
absolutely
is not
right.
based here. They're not, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's, yeah, labor market statistics from the state are aggravating,
They're frustrated, yes.
very frustrating. Yeah.
But that's the best we got. So thank you, Judy.
No problem, thank you.
Anything else for section 2? Good section. And I do, by the way, also want to highlight and compliment you, Judy, on the key issues sections for each one of the goals. I thought you did a pretty good job summarizing each of those and being,
Thank you.
really making it very easy for people to read without, getting an introduction to the whole section, so. So again,
Thank you.
no, thank you for, we know you spent a lot of time on this. And so if people have typos, they can send them to Patrick and Judy, or, yeah, why don't you send them to Patrick so that they go to funnel through one person, and then, we can,
Yeah,
And then
it might be,
Patrick
it'll
could
be
just-
easier to,
and then Patrick can just send them to Judy. I think that works the best.
I think it might be better too, obviously, you send it to me, I can send it to Judy, and then I can notify the group of the things that have been found. So if people are
Yeah.
finding the same things, we're not,
Yeah,
two
Yeah.
people finding the
That
same
would be
one.
helpful. I mean, part of the difficulty too, once you bring these documents into InDesign or even PDF, is that your spell check sophistication that you have in Word is not there. So, when I pulled these documents into InDesign, I continued to do some editing just to make text fit well on a page and a given layout. So there's certainly a possibility that there's a typo, but I'll have someone in here who didn't work on this project read through it, because they're less apt to, sort of compensate for an error and just read over it. If they didn't have anything to do with the project, they're more likely to pick up mistakes.
and then I just have, in section 4, I just had one other general comment that I wanted to bring up, and that was, Judy, would it be possible to number each of the action items, like 1.1, 1.2 or something? Because going forward, as we talk about the different action items in during board meetings or different groups, it would be good to have a unique identifier so that people know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if that's easy to do, or,
So the difficulty, I'll figure it out, Bill, but the
Okay.
difficulty is that the text style that's in the implementation plan, it's all the same across all the columns. So once I try to set numbering up in that, it's going to affect all the text in all the columns. It's not just going to be, the action items in the first column. I'll have to think about whether I can do
I
that.
mean, you can, see what you can do. It's not the most urgent thing, but I think it would facilitate,
I mean, maybe just, I don't know if this is probably too simplistic, but I guess if you were to go to like the section, like I'm just looking at, policy 10B.
Yeah.
See the first one, would it make sense to go row by row and then parentheses 10B1 at the
I
start
think
of,
that makes sense.
rather than create a new column or mess
oh, I
with
wasn't
the
looking for a
format.
new column.
No, I know, but I think from Judy's point,
Oh,
if
okay.
if the formatting is set a
Yeah.
certain way, maybe it's easier just to kind of add it into the first, I guess, row of the.
Yeah,
of the-
within every 1A, 4B,
Yeah.
7C, you just add 1, 2, so you can I think Philip's point is,
Yeah.
I want to look at policy 7C2.
Yep,
And so all you have to do without changing the columns is what you said.
yeah.
Just add a 1, 2, 3 within each number, letter, policy
You can make
category.
it bold or something, so
Yeah.
it's easy to call out,
Just-
yeah.
Exactly, it's an easy thing to track.
Because otherwise, I could see it being, when we have meetings and things, people are going to reference something, and
And you don't
it's
know
just,
what they're talking about.
yeah, and we already seen a little bit of that when we've been trying to reconcile changes, what item does that really refer back to? So that'd be appreciated, though, Judy.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. And then, you added the, the rest of it, the bibliography and the survey summary.
Yep.
Section 3, I have a question on.
Okay,
Right, are we not going section by section anymore? I'm
I
sorry.
was.
Okay.
Did I skip over section
Well,
3?
you went back to 4 and then we
I
stopped at
s-
2.1, right? We,
You have to excuse me because I think I skipped over section 3. That's what happened.
what, I'm sorry, are we not going like 2.2, 2.3, like we're just supposed to,
Oh, I hadn't, I'd gone away from that. No,
Oh, okay.
I
I
probably-
think we were talking about general comments and then we got.
Yeah, I
got
think
down.
I had comments about two.
Yeah.
so we have
But we can
general
go- we can
comments
go
which
through-
we'll
no, we
send to you
can-
in
Let's go
writing?
through each one.
All right, no, it's fine, I just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to know.
pardon me on that, okay? As there are particular sections you have comments, why don't we just, if anybody has a comment in section
Why don't we go
2, why don't we just go through those?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I just need some clarification on section 3.
Okay.
The issues section, Janet?
Pardon me?
Do you mean the issues section?
Yes, key planning issues.
Yep.
It's in the, I think it's on 107 on my print. And it says, institutionalizing leadership within town government. What does that mean?
It means having leadership, effective leadership across town government. Town government's an institution, so institutionalizing leadership is really making sure that you have adequate leadership across all aspects of town government.
Okay, so I thought we were going to hospitalize them.
No,
Okay. I get it.
I mean, that's,
so why don't we first see if people have other questions in section 2, any of the subsections in 2, just that we're,
Sorry, I'll send my comments to
No,
Patrick by
I-
email, that's fine, don't worry about
are
it.
you sure?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't want to go and lose the opportunity also to talk to Judy, ask Judy questions too, if you have them, so.
I think Jen, also, did you mention that you had general comments as well?
No, I'll just send them, I just said I'll send them to Patrick by email.
Okay, are you sure? Yeah. I'm really not trying to stop any.
No, that's fine.
Okay. And any other further questions in section 3? And I just had one, and that was on the climate science. And I'm not trying to refute what you found with, but it says Walpole residents, volunteers, and staff are divided about prioritizing climate change. So skepticism stems from not seeing or directly experienced impacts, data appearing too minimal to matter implementation costs and an already limited staff capacity. So
what page are you on, Phil?
it's just on page 107, in the actual document, the PDF file. I don't know that, it would be like 2 or 3 pages beyond that.
yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think I'm really questioning it, but I was only more thinking in terms of, I hope as people see more weather events or see what's happening, that we're not as divided on the impact of climate change, so I guess I'm not really asking you to change anything.
so Phil, I
Any-
guess kind of going back to, I guess on course, do we want to go through section by section now instead of jumping around and kind of go section 2, 2.1? Any questions moving forward?
Or do people want to do that? I was really kind of getting the sentiment people didn't want to do
Okay.
that. And that was steering my course, by the way, but,
I'm good. Once again, I will send my comments, but to email to Patrick.
Anyone else?
No, I think we've kind of gone through it. I'm good.
I mean, this is the chance to do that, so with Judy here, so I really,
No, and kind of what I'm relying on is what we did, and is the subcommittees are really digging down into their sections, which, what I tried to do here and make comments on this section that they know of, and we're kind of all relying on that, or at least I'm relying on those people that had those subsections to make sure.
I'd like to hear them too. I think it would be good to hear together, to hear what everyone had to say on each of the section 2 sections.
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad we did that.
you what, Andrew?
I'm glad we did that when we checked in with each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
To hear how we created the section 2 reports, the subcommittees. If I understood Janet correctly.
Well, if there's some correction, I think we should hear it now while we're looking at it together.
Okay, so why don't we just go through, just to one last chance. Okay, on section, we're talking about section 2, and we went through some of them, right? But let's just, and part of me, I think I might have misinterpreted. So 2.1, was the
Economic development.
economic development.
Like I said earlier, I think we kind of went through that, and I like the way it was written up, and I think it was done well. I think they got all the comments in there, and I like the wording in it and everything, so I think it's fine.
I agree.
So 2.2,
I agree.
2.3. 2.4 was land use, that is this is the only place where it really appears as a more detailed, single place. The climate change. Housing and residential development.
I just had a question on page 57, if the term non-family households is like the most inclusive and current term available? Because maybe that's the current thing, but it just doesn't seem very inclusive to me. Because
Yeah.
not only does it not count me, but it doesn't count people who could be cohabitating partners, including people who might have children, who I would consider
Yeah.
a family. So I just would ask them to double check if there's a more inclusive term.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can change terms, but the Census Bureau reports household data this way. And so until the Census Bureau kind of changes the way they divide households up, it's a little bit difficult for anybody to work with that data and somehow combine it when you really can't. So you can call it anything you want, but it still refers to households that are not families, as defined by the Census Bureau.
So it looks like the Census Bureau needs to come into the,
Great, I'll wait for the
We're all-
government.
we're all
I'll wait for the
waiting.
government to check
Yeah.
to catch up. That's really gonna happen in my lifetime.
yeah.
So, that's
No,
great.
it is a
That's the
very
problem.
unfriendly.
Yeah.
It is a very
That is the
unfriendly.
problem. It's, you know, believe me, people who use the data are just as frustrated by it as anybody else.
I remember seeing something on the listserv, Judy, about some
Yeah.
towns looking into like, single-family dwelling, two-family dwelling, and like changing that term. I can't remember what the
Yeah.
phrase was that
Yeah,
single.
we're all struggling with this. Like it's,
Yep.
So 2.7, transportation. And 2.8, community facilities and services.
So both of those being Glenn and John's.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I think that just goes back to the original kind of statement at the beginning of the meeting. I think we still, it's not like, hey, it's open and shut right here. I think still providing some opportunity for people that maybe couldn't be here tonight to provide comments up to like a certain date.
And if somebody saw something factually wrong, we would, we
yeah,
would
we
want to
would want to
correct
do
it.
that.
Yeah,
We would want to do that.
And then 2.9 was the
On
Pres-
page 93, on the third column, the first full paragraph starts with extant historic resources, and it references 38 Peach Street, which is no longer in place. So the Alan Harkness house was torn down.
Yeah. Page 93.
Sorry, on page 93, the rightmost,
38, yeah, 38 Peach Street. It's a second, third column, the rightmost column on the upper
I mean,
right.
it can stay in there as, it just can't be linked to the, starting the paragraph starts with extant
Yeah.
historic resources.
Got it.
It's now extinct, not extant.
Wow.
And then 10 was community health, and that was Carrie. And Mike, who's not here, obviously.
Bounce around again, but Judy, I do have another general comment. I guess if you have somebody look through for, taking another look for spelling and grammatic errors, I notice on like page 69, that table there is kind of set up a little funky with the
69.
formatting.
Did
Maybe
you say page 69?
Yeah. I think it's 72 of the document, but it's labeled page 69.
Oh, that weird column.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry. That's right.
And maybe adding just
Yeah,
the
no,
the row lines as well,
Oh,
just to
yeah.
kind of help.
it was, well,
I know.
that may not be possible.
I know, it's just, yeah, not to be nitpicky. but-
Can we go?
No, it's perfectly fine. I just am gonna do what I can and not do what I can't do.
But again, you did a great job bringing together a lot of real data that really makes it easy to more understand the, the town and the environment we're in.
Can we just go back
Yeah.
under community health?
Yep,
The area hospitals section still references hospitals that are not actual full-service hospitals. Namely, New England Sinai and Medfield State Hospital. And I don't, this isn't a criticism, because this happened recently, but it might be worth mentioning, the current state of Brockton Hospital, because that's also
Right,
offline for
Yeah.
the foreseeable future.
yeah.
What's going on over there? I heard something.
I mean, they're talking years.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if, I guess now that we're at that, I mean, you already mentioned Norwood Hospital's coming back, but I know that they were approved, I think, for site plan review, and I think that's also ongoing. I don't know if it's worth mentioning.
There's two hospitals
But-
there, yes.
Don't you
for
see that
Brockton.
as
Probably
not
not.
being one? So if I'm reading it correctly, in relation to what you just said, aren't they referring to Brockton as Good Sam?
So there's no mention of Brockton Hospital in here, they only mention Good Sam,
Okay,
but I think
so when it says Brockton, they're just, okay, I got it.
Brockton Hospital ought to be mentioned just as another area resource that's offline for the foreseeable future, because that's gonna affect capacity everywhere, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's page 99.
Yep, I got it.
are there any other questions about the report? Then? So again, please send any comments, any changes to Patrick, who will submit them to Judy. And do want to really acknowledge Judy and her team for all the work that they've done. They've done a really tremendous job. It's not a small task to come into a town, not really knowing anyone and having to work with us and work with all the different boards and different departments, and to put together and compile all of the research and then summarize it. And I think as Andrew pointed out, really did a good job doing that. So we do want to thank you, Judy, and your team for all the work you've done.
So would it be helpful to kind of set, I know it seems like we're kind of at the end here, but would it be able to set like a deadline to put out to this group and the rest of the group to like, hey, one last final sweep of any additional?
I was going to suggest if we, April 24th, if we, and I'm not sure if we're going to meet April 24th, but that was the next date we had set.
Yeah, as a
Does that
secondary
give people
meeting.
enough time? Or we could go further? I think you're right, we should have a deadline.
Yeah.
And then what will the timeline be after that, once you've, that's the kind of final speak now or forever hold your peace moment, is
That-
April 24th?
that's what it would be.
And then it goes through a round of final edits and then goes to the planning board? I mean, I'm just enlightening me
so-
with the timeline.
So the timeline would be, the only board we need to present this to get a vote is the planning board. So I'm going to ask to have time on the planning board agenda at our next meeting, which is April 20th, so that we put
Okay.
on the agenda for the planning board out, a month out or whatever, to be able to do that vote. But really, it's just us now doing our final approval or our final comments back to Judy. And then Judy, you will then send us the final document with all the changes in it?
Yeah, so while we're waiting for comments from you, I'm gonna have somebody here go through a print version of this, looking for errors. Depending on how many you get back to me, but I don't expect a, firestorm of changes here, but it really shouldn't be hard for us to turn around the final version within a week, as long as there's not big changes. I'm gonna have to figure out how best to try to accommodate the numbering issue in the implementation table. I'm a little bit concerned about that, but the rest of it, I don't think is a big problem.
So we may not want to meet until we get the final report, actually.
I would think, yeah, I don't know why you would.
Do we need to meet?
We may not need to meet, yeah. There's really no other action we need to do unless
So Judy, I guess
we
in
we
this,
may need to do a vote just to accept the report as is.
I guess I'm putting up to so Judy, at this stage, so the committee goes through, last opportunity to provide edits before going to the planning board. What would be the kind of like the next phase for this group? Or are we more or less kind of getting in a position where now it can go to the planning board for vote and then, we have an
I think so. I mean, I think so. I'm not hearing, earthquake level issues. So I think that it really, the committee may want to meet one last time to bless it, but I think that's up to you folks. It would really be just getting it to the planning board. And I forget when they meet. Is it the first Thursday of the month?
First and third Thursday of the month.
Okay.
Well,
So-
although we go on a summer schedule, starting in June, it'll be the third Thursday of the month. for the
So I'm
summer.
sure the board's gonna want some time to look at this. I mean, let's say, just looking at dates here, if your deadline for your committee colleagues is the 24th, and we can get the final back to you on, say, May 1, then I'm imagining the planning board will want some time to look at this, so maybe the third Thursday in May? Just asking.
Yeah, that may work.
So the only thing I want to tell you is that I'm on the vestry at my church and we meet the third Thursday, so I would not be able to be in Walpole for a planning board meeting on the third Thursday. I could do the first Thursday.
So you could never do, so the third Thursday of June would not work either then.
Yeah, third Thursday is
So- The other option would be for the planning board to do a special meeting just to talk about the,
absolutely, sure.
the
And
plan-
I'm
yeah,
just
just
trying not
talk
to
about
put them
the-
out.
they may not be.
Why not the
Or
first
may I suggest,
Thursday in
Philip, do we
June?
really need 3 weeks for straggler comments? I mean, I get it, like, we've had,
Yeah.
like, almost, 3 weeks or a month to review this? I mean, that's my only other suggestion, just that, because this has gone on a while, do you want another 3 weeks just to let people come on in, or maybe just give them 2 weeks, or a
do
week
that.
and a half. Like,
Yeah.
we've had a lot of time.
Yeah,
I think even 1 week is sufficient. Next,
Okay.
you know, in 2 weeks,
I don't
it's
think
April
you need 3
vacation,
weeks.
and it's
Yep.
probably better to
Yeah.
wrap this
actually,
up.
if people haven't contributed, had come up with something by now, they're probably gonna just wait to the last couple of days anyways.
Okay.
So if we do 1 week from today,
Sounds good. So,
Sense.
again, to play into this whole first Thursday scheduling
Yeah.
issue with Judy, to give you more flexibility.
yeah.
As long as that gets out to the missing members tomorrow,
Do it
Yeah.
Before I leave.
yeah. How will we receive that information? Will we receive the red line version back as well?
Oh, I can't do a red line at this point.
It's just
This is
I
in
think the red
Microsoft.
line you got was what I sent you today.
I think we
It's-
had the
it's
red
a-
line of the section 2
Yes.
that Judy did send,
Yeah,
but not of the entire.
This, well, it's in InDesign now. I can't do a red line anyway.
yeah. So that what I sent out allows you to track where the changes were in the action items, and that takes the place of the red line. Then Judy sent out the red line for section 2, you know, which, I think we did send out a copy of that with the,
Yeah.
you know, we're tracking on, so you could see the,
Right.
but that won't continue now, because now that they're in design, now that they're in InDesign, they won't be able to continue doing that. Yeah.
Exactly. There's just no way to generate a red line out of Adobe
Judy-
InDesign.
So Judy, there's no reason that the planning board really needs to do a vote on this then as a single plan?
Well, the planning board should vote to approve the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The planning
Yeah.
board has to vote.
So planning board has to, but I meant there's no reason for the master plan committee. I said that wrong. Is there any, do we need to actually just approve it tonight to say,
I think we need to approve
To
the
a
final
final
version
version.
I agree.
to
yeah,
the planning board.
that's what I'm
And then
wondering.
the planning board would have to vote to accept it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're required by law to do.
So,
to
I
do-
mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Danell, I think all the edits we're talking about tonight are more stylistic. They're like
Right.
Yeah.
the typos or just
We-
fixing things.
we could
So
do-
could we just vote in terms of the substance of the report, approve it tonight, let Judy make these corrections and ship it to the planning board?
Yeah, no, and
I
that,
think it seems pretty
Comments,
efficient.
though? Aren't there a few comments that should come in and then?
Oh, yeah, for the, give them a week. I'm sorry, you're
Give
right.
them a week, I think.
No, Katie's right.
Yeah.
I spoke too fast.
Yeah.
I think give people a week, but unless there's any what did you say, Judy? Like earthquake level, like
Yeah.
substantive disputes? I think if it's just typos, like, it's been a year and a half, like, we can ship it.
I don't expect anyone to, yeah, at this point, late,
So the only thing I'll say is, I'm just looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
And to be realistic, I don't know what Judy's turnaround time can be.
she said a
So
week.
If we get it back to Judy by, let's say, the 12th, if our deadline is to have comments in by the 11th, so you figure 11th end of day, we give it to her the 12th. If she gets it back to us
The next week.
the 19th, so I would think you'd have to give planning board 2 weeks, is what I'm trying to say, to review it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be tight. I'm just pointing that out. I'm not, you know, I don't know if it's doable for you or not. I think you should give 2 weeks though, because usually we say, you know what I
Weeks
mean?
for
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that meeting, that first meeting, I might be wrong. It's either meeting before that or that meeting that we're jammed. Our agenda's pretty full. So that being said, I think you have to give people time to look it over.
Sure, absolutely, Katie.
I mean, in a perfect world, that would be awesome to do it the May 4th meeting, because then it doesn't interfere with your schedule and we get it moving. You know what I mean? But to be realistic, I don't know if it can happen, is what I'm trying to say.
Understood.
Hopefully it will, but,
Yeah,
You
it'll,
can get it to the planning board on the 20th?
yeah, 2 weeks before the 4th.
Is the
but she has a
summer-
meeting every third Thursday.
Is the summer
No,
schedule?
I'm not saying for her to appear. I'm saying for her to have it,
Have it ready for us.
final copy
Right.
ready. We
You need 2 weeks.
were gonna look at the final copy, right? So we need.
Yes.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to-
so I think I don't know if we can get it to planning board for the 4th, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you.
What's planning board's summer schedule? Is that the first or the third meeting?
Third Thursday,
Oh.
June, July, August.
So you would want to do this in May. I mean, this is just my opinion. I think this has gone on long enough. The planning board should try to get, if Judy can't be there, you don't want to wait another month.
Yeah, no, we
till
don't, well, we
late
don't want to wait
June.
another 3 months.
You know,
That's right.
that's almost 3 months from
It's
now.
either
You're
gonna
right.
be, it's
Yeah.
either gonna be a different
So either May
day,
4th or May 20th,
yeah, or the planning
or,
board,
or May 18th, whatever it is.
Can't do that.
Can I ask a question? If the
Yeah.
planning board has it by April 20th, is that sufficient time for the board to review this?
I think so. I think the only problem we have is that this committee was going to do a final,
Yep.
read through. And I don't know that,
Okay,
to be fair to you, if you get it and have to have it a week and then get it back,
yep.
that gives this committee, like a day to look it over before we get it to planning board?
So I guess I have a suggestion maybe to Phil and Katie. What about, I guess, rather than doing a special meeting solely for this topic, maybe talk to select board about doing kind of like a joint meeting as well, just to kind of like discuss that. I don't know. if
did you, who, the select board?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a way to like, because obviously your schedule is set a certain way and you have a lot of other pressing things that are going on right now. And so maybe having it as a topic at the select board meeting and then the planning, I don't know if that's
I think it'd be better to do the planning
good,
board
planning
meeting
board by
alone.
itself. Yeah,
I
okay.
think so, because, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's
So
just,
first of all, we need, the planning board has to agree to do this, and
Yeah.
Katie and I would vote for it. So we probably would, yeah,
let's shoot for that and see what happens.
yeah.
And if not, we'll punt, figure something out.
So left unresolved, though, is, so do we need to vote on it? Can we vote on it tonight pending
I think we have to see the final.
final draft?
I think we do too.
Okay, so,
I
so
agree
we
with you,
would need
Katie.
to, we would need to maybe have a Zoom meeting or something before the planning board meeting to do that.
I would probably do a Zoom.
I think we can do a Zoom to
Yeah.
go over the rewrite,
So-
I mean, to.
Yeah, to look at the final.
read that.
And
So it should be- it
honestly,
should be a very
if
simple
everything
meeting.
is- We're already on track.
Yeah.
And everything is mostly done, so as Judy said, unless there's some huge change nobody's seeing coming,
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't take us that long to review it.
Yeah.
Because we
I
will have
agree.
reviewed it, so it's just that we have to,
Just want to
make
make
sure it flows and what the changes were that happened between now and then, and
So we could do that even anytime before May 4th, that same week even, if,
We're gonna set a doodle poll, or do you just want to set a date?
I think we should set a date if we're gonna, to make, so people,
Do you want to do a poll so everyone can, there's.
Did any of the missing members say they
I'm-
got any big issues? Did anybody?
No,
hear
I haven't heard anything.
The ones that aren't
So,
here or missed,
do we wanna
the
just-
subcommittee?
there've
Did
been
they have
no,
any big issues that we know of?
none that we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are different people were at the last 2 meetings, and nothing has really come up that really would give us indication that somebody has a major problem with
And I
anything.
think within this committee, you can move quick.
Yeah,
How do I
I mean,
put
it's
this
the quicker she
tactfully?
gets us back those comments, which maybe we should be finding out if those additional board members need another week to go through it.
Right, and what about some of our board members that are not so technologically savvy, but have strong opinions? Do they
Oh, that's-
typically tell you by email that they have, or-
no, that's,
right? So,
Yeah.
I know, who am I,
Yeah,
who
no,
am I
it's a-
talking about?
Putting any names on them.
I was being, look, I said nothing, you guys just, whatever you inferred from that is like, is on you, but no, I'm not sure that we can necessarily think that not getting an email this constitutes no major comments.
Pat, are you in tomorrow?
I should be.
Hopefully, unless there's a surprise.
so,
Oh, well,
but if we're shooting for
Would it be
this,
possible for him to shoot a doodle poll out tomorrow? But-
yeah,
you know what? I could do it, I mean, it sounds like we're probably gonna get done before 8 o'clock. I was gonna send an email out anyway to get final comments by the 11th. Maybe I'll send a poll out then to, so anytime after, what do we say, the 20th or the 19th?
after the 19th, yeah,
Yeah,
20th.
between the 19th and the 4th, the dates?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it'd be a very short meeting by Zoom, so that should make it easier, and we could do it at 6 o'clock. That may facilitate people if they have things going on in the evening, or maybe not, I don't know. That may be difficult for people working, so,
Just do it from the train, it's fine.
I don't know. But that, you could find that out in the doodle poll, you can give them the options. Yeah,
So what would the time range you'd wanna do?
it could be 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if people can't make 7 o'clock, you know, you have offered 6 o'clock like.
Yeah,
this
that's what I
meeting.
usually do.
Yeah.
I think it's kind
Yeah.
of consistent.
And then we will bring this up at the planning board
Okay,
on maybe this Thursday, but definitely on the 20th,
okay.
because we're actually meeting with the finance committee on this Thursday, so there would be an opportunity to bring it up, I think, to get on the schedule for May 4th. That would be the goal. Yeah. And then Judy, could you be there on May 4th?
Yeah, I do. I was just looking at my calendar and remarkably, I don't have a meeting that night, which
So
is
why
weird.
don't you, so that also would give a good reason for the planning board to make this a priority.
Well, I'll hold it for you, and if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, it's fine. But I'll just hold it for now, so somebody else doesn't grab it.
Okay.
All right.
And then other steps, we're gonna do a public forum, they're gonna be, we can figure that out, that's something
Figure
that,
out after.
you know, we can, between myself and Patrick and Katie, it's just a matter of presenting it at some forums, you know, to the public, is what we had said we would do at some point.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think that's a good idea. I think maybe,
You want-
I think that's a good idea,
Yeah.
you know, after the fact, maybe just to address that it's
And we would do an
completed,
update
what some
at
things
the town meeting is what we would do, and then,
Would that have to happen before May 4th? Or after?
I'd say.
I almost feel like after. I feel like
Yeah.
it could be after the
Yeah, this
fact,
would
after
be-
it's been approved, and then we can
yeah,
just.
this would be after the.
Want any comment from the general public before it's accepted?
We're not, yeah, we wouldn't be looking for general comments, I think then that would be more informational, to say this is the,
Into
this
questions.
is the plan, yeah, people have questions about
Because
it.
at this point, we've already done the public
Yeah.
outreach for
Yeah.
comments.
So particularly if the planning board has already approved it, then, you know. And the last order of business was to approve minutes.
I didn't get 1025 out there, but we actually had
No,
4 other
Patrick,
sets.
thank you. No.
that- Well, Lauren did a great job on them, I just didn't review it finally, but we have 4 sets, I believe, it was July, August, and the 2 September dates.
Has everybody had a chance to look at them, or is everybody, are we good voting on them though tonight? I have
gone
watched, I have read them and watched, you know, obviously we're here at the meetings, and watched again, and they're, you know, they're, it's not like you don't have the video to actually see to make sure, so. So we could vote, are people good voting on that tonight, or do people
I'm
want
good
to?
voting on it. I have to vote on every individual one because I have to abstain from a couple because I wasn't.
Okay.
Trying to figure out which ones I
I
was there
think we
for.
can let Judy go, because I.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Judy, I think you're good to head home. We're just doing minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
So
I'm happy
Judy-
to see everybody, and let me know about that Thursday night, okay?
yeah, and Judy, thank you again for your, everything, and please express our thanks to your team.
I will. All right.
Thank you.
So much.
Yep.
Yep, take care, folks.
I know.
So, we do the minutes, we do one at a time.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for Tuesday, July 26, 2022.
A second?
Question on that one? Just my name is Mrs., they put down Mr.
Okay, we'll correct that one.
Okay, so you were there.
That's in the back, on the
Okay,
second page.
Okay.
and we have to do a roll
That's
call
all.
vote. So Katie,
I'm going to abstain because I have not reviewed them, I'm sorry.
that's okay, Carrie,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes,
Jen,
Yes.
Danelle,
I'm going to abstain, I wasn't present.
and myself is yes. So that's 502. And then a motion for the 8/11.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Thursday, August 11, 2022.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you,
I'll
Janet.
second.
Thank you, Janet, too. So Katie,
Abstain.
abstain. Carrie,
Abstain.
abstain.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Janet? Oh, sorry, Andrew?
Yes. I'll
Janet,
accept.
yes, yeah, Andrew?
Yes.
Yep. Jen?
Yes.
Danelle?
Yes?
And myself is yes. Okay, and then a motion to approve the 9/14 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Wednesday, September 14, 2022.
Second.
Second, Andrew. Katie?
Abstain.
Carrie?
Yes.
Yes. Andrew?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Danelle?
I'll abstain, I wasn't present.
Myself is yes. And then last minutes for September 27th, motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Tuesday, September 27, 2022.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second. And Katie?
Abstain.
And Carrie?
Yes.
Andrew?
Abstain. That was absent.
Janet?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Danelle?
Yes?
Myself, yes. So that is 5-2-0-2. And is there any other matter anyone wants to bring up?
If I
real
can,
quick?
can I just get those dates one more time? She's gonna turn around, we're gonna have comments until when? What date?
April 11th,
4/11?
4/11.
Okay, and then she's gonna turn around those comments by 4/19?
Yes.
And then we're gonna have a meeting on 4/19?
No,
We're gonna set up a time frame between 4/19 and May 4th. So the doodle poll is gonna be between, I guess, 4/19 and May, actually, no, it wouldn't be May 4th. it'd be-
4/20 and May 2nd or something like that.
Yeah,
May
3rd.
3rd or something.
So
Yeah.
do you want to give people a chance to read,
Right.
look at them?
So then before that, May 4th is when we're gonna give our final approval to the document, and then
In the
we hand
Zoom
it over on May 4th to the planning board,
Hopefully,
hopefully.
yes.
Okay.
And entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Carrie and,
Second.
yep. And Katie
Yes.
and Carrie,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Danelle,
Yes?
and myself, yes. So 7:00, and the meeting is adjourned at
I have nomination.
7:22. So thank you all, and have a good night.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Pat.